Hello, my name is Mists and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering the Call of Duty World War II PC beta. This is just going to be what my impressions and thoughts were as the beta played out, along with a few technical issues and hindrances that made themselves knowledgeable. And unfortunately there's a bit of bad information in the sort of like help screen inside the game, which we'll be covering at the end as well, with something and do's and don'ts of things you should never do with certain types of systems. Anywho, the beta originally went live on Friday the 29th of September. I thought it was going to go on the 30th, and I think a few other people did. I happened to be on my day off, I was in town, all of a sudden get a notification on my phone that Drifter has gone live on YouTube, streaming the beta itself on PC. Obviously, first thoughts you think, okay, main channel, it's probably just the fact that they've got an extra day early access for press coverage and things like that for YouTubers. Turns out, no, he was surprised as well, and it did appear that they'd either shifted the dates in general, or it had gone live a day early for whatever reason, which we all appreciate. So it ran up until the following Monday, so it was only over the weekend really. But the first issue that I did sort of encounter that sort of was a bit annoying is I was using a 980. All my drivers were relatively up to date, there was no problems. Just randomly trying to change graphical settings, the black screens would occur. The screen would just seem to hang on a black screen. Clicking back on the menu as well could trigger it, sometimes at the end of a match. You'd all be stood there at the end and then transition to blackness. Sounds are continuing, you can hear things happening, but just no visual display. Kind of a bit of annoying, don't know what was happening there. You go into Task Manager, it didn't say the game had stopped responding, anything like that. It just said, yeah, Call of Duty World War II is running, but not interactable with. So unfortunately that was a bit of a hindrance. I tried not to mess around with settings too much. A second issue that also presented itself was a mouse driver issue. I did happen to witness this on another person firsthand. Again, Drifter did a following stream and he had the same problem, just his mouse randomly went crazy on him. For me, it sort of, my automatic rifles suddenly started going pop, 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 just doing single shots, which wasn't me tapping the trigger, because even if you try and tap it, you can easily get a double shot. This was literally just single pops of the rifle. And then it decided it was going to sort of do a bit of a semi-automatic thing as well when I decided to try and override and manually force the shooting. It turns out that if you can, while it's going wild, if you can minimise and get to your system tray, just force close the software for your mouse driver there, and that seemed to killed it for me. Not sure what Drifter was using. I have two mouse drivers installed. I'd already killed the first one once the Windows system had booted up, so that wasn't an issue. That was for a Razor Ouroboros. The one I was using here was for Combatawing. That was the one that seemed to go crazy on me. Only happened the once, but it was a bit annoying, and I did sort of notice as well that it did sort of go a bit wild and stuttery in another game as well. So yeah, not too great there. That's something to be aware of. Hopefully that's fixed in the final issue, because well, anything, headphones, mice nowadays, they all come with customizable software, so you can change the colour of your LEDs, do all your little mouse buttons, macro, change all the functionality around, rebind all of your different keys and presses. It kind of would suck if this was going to be a thing that they couldn't iron out. I'm sure they will, but it was just kind of annoying, especially when it happens in the middle of a gunfight or middle of a game and you have to back out and it's like, you've now got a loss against your like combat record or something. It's just an annoyance, bit of a piss take, something that should have not happened really. But as I say, hopefully that's fixed in the full release. Okay, so gunplay. Gunplay is nice. Felt good, felt responsive. Yeah, there was the odd game where things didn't match up, and obviously you could see people warping around and you could see kill cams where like players were stuttering and freezing. You get that on anything. People's connections, not necessarily the host that you're on. Of course, hosts can be an issue. There was no server browser, so I do not know if dedicated servers are even a factor here on PC. It'd be nice for PC to have a server browser, so you could jump in and also rent servers like you could do in the past. But I'm sure that's probably not going to be a thing here. Hopefully there's dedicated servers at least, but don't know. Maybe it is just going to all be individual people hosting, which, yeah, it does suck, obviously, because as soon as one person starts downloading on their net, somebody else in the house starts doing something, it goes wrong, and everybody suffers, and you're just like, what's happening all of a sudden mid-game? It was rock solid 1 minute, gone the next. Is it me? Is it them? Who knows? It could be anyone. So, yeah, not a big fan of that. But as I say, gunplay was tight. The hipfire was extremely noticeable. Or at least on PC anyway. For assault rifles, SMGs. For the assault rifles, the sort of general hipfire without any sort of changing of your ribbons to tighten that up sort of was effective at sort of general submachine gun range. You could nicely hipfire with the guarantee of almost missing not many of the shots, maybe just 1 or 2 at best. It really did feel responsive and a viable tactic. Someone runs around that corner, just get on them, hip fire, then tighten up your aim with an aim down sight. You'll probably have killed them already, but if you haven't, it'll just be 1, 2 and they're gone. So that was a nice feeling, really. Don't know what more I can say there. The submachine guns were good as well. There was one particular submachine gun that kicked a hell of a lot. Cannot remember what the name of it was now. It's basically the Sten MK2, but I don't think it's called the Sten MK2. It's the Call of Duty equivalent of the Sten, and my god, that thing kicks hard and it dumps bullets down range fast. Bit of a, I don't know, on consoles, is it going to have the same kick? I haven't played the console beta, so I don't know. Recoil was pretty much straight vertical, so it's easily counteractable by pulling down on your mouse, pulling down on the thumbstick, but it is wild. It is something that is probably going to catch a lot of people off, and if you're not one of those who counter-aims, then it's probably not going to be a gun for you. But I think it's not the best at range. It's probably better more sort of on those close, tight ranges, corners, and of course, a bit like Black Ops 2 with the... oh, whatever it was called now, forget what it was called. If you are in a bit of a laggy game, probably pull out the Sten. You know, just to sort of dump bullets down as fast as you can. I know, it's a bit cheesy, but, you know, you got to do what you got to do. So, there was a new game mode, not so new game mode, it was called War. The game mode did sort of feature, I believe, in Call of Duty World at War in the past. The whole idea and objective is you've got attackers and defenders, and the attackers start, and they, on the map anyway, the one map that was available for it, hopefully there's more, it plays a bit like Battlefield, where it's on a big large scale map, and it's split into sections. It feels a bit like the sort of rush mode from Battlefield, but instead of dual MCOM sites, which there is a bomb site later on, it's just one single point. So at first, the first point was like a headquarters from a previous Call of Duty, and you could blow holes into the wall, so you could jump into the building, or you could climb through the windows, which obviously isn't good. It puts you at a vulnerability during the times that you're climbing. You can't shoot back, so you get up close, you blow a hole in the wall, you get inside, and then like a headquarters, start capturing that point. If any of the defenders come in, it freezes and it goes into contested. And as far as I could tell, it wasn't possible on that point to reverse the progress that the attackers had made. But then the game's never really played out on that equal a field. Either all of the attackers were being arseholes and camping, and you were the only one inside the building, or the defenders were simply just crouching at the window on the other side and weren't defending, in which case just 2 of you inside would overrun the point in seconds. So again, I didn't really get a fully balanced feel for it, but it did feel like if people actually tried, did the roles of attacking or defending. If you're defending, get inside, contest it. Doesn't matter if you're on your own, just throw yourself at it. In this mode, KD doesn't matter. You don't even get to see your KD at the end of this mode. So, you know, don't worry about that in this... enough about KD. Just don't worry about it in this mode. All you'll get to see at the end is your total number of kills, how many things you built. Because on this first point, defenders come in, they can build a mounted gun, basically like a big mounted LMG, and dump bullets down range, at least on one sort of particular sort of straight up run that you can make at the house, and you can sort of pin people down there and also catch a few going over for the cross, which can sneak round and come up the side and blow a hole in the side of your house. So just play the objective in this mode. There is literally nothing to be gained from camping your arse off in a corner. You ain't gonna get like a nuclear, you're not gonna get fucking what, you know, you're not gonna get your KD up, you're not gonna look badass, nobody's gonna see it. At the end of the game, all they're gonna see is, yeah, you killed like 40 people, but you built nothing, you did nothing, your team lost, you look like a bit of a con. Okay, so on to the next point. The next point became more of a... What was the next point? Oh, yes. You get to build a bridge. Again, the building mechanic comes in place. Snipers get in the window. There's a mounted machine gun, again on both sides. The one in the house feels like it's in a better position. The one for the attackers building the bridge is more of designed to be dumped down range to try and lay some fire, so the snipers who are hiding behind the truck on the other side can't really pick your guys off on the bridge. Attackers, you should be dumping smokes down on that bridge just to try and cover yourself. There appeared to be a bit of a graphical glitch in the beta, which wasn't too great. That meant that snipers were seeing people through smoke. Pretty sure it wasn't a ribbon perk. It did appear to be graphical glitches where all of a sudden you'd get these weird shadows and blockings coming in, and yeah, fix that please. Hope that's fixed. Hope that's not related to drivers again. I think that's something a bit in the game that needs to be ironed out, and hopefully that is on launch, because apart from that, everything seemed a-okay. The machine gun on the defender's side is ideal for shooting the attackers who are trying to build the bridge. Again, this is why attackers must have smokes. If you don't have a smoke in your class, don't worry. There is a default class that has smoke. You don't need many. You just need one person or two people ideally. One person who dies to refresh the smoke in time to throw it again, or two people can alternate. You're probably going to get hit by a sniper. You're probably going to get hit by the guy on the machine gun. So a couple of smokes just to keep them up and steady, and you can build your bridge and you can push to the next point. The next point then becomes a general bomb site, a bit like S&D, or the MCOM site in Rush, but there's only one, and you plant the bomb. It takes some time to detonate. The attackers can come in, defuse it. Diffusion doesn't mean the end. You have more time again to plant again. They can defuse, but it is worth noting that on each of these different points you get a 4-minute time limit. So attackers, if you fail to do any of these objectives, take the house, build the bridge, do the bomb site or the tank push, which is the next one, you do not do one of those, you fail to do one of those, you just lose. Doesn't matter if you're on the final one, you will lose. Defenders, if you're getting face rolled over and over again, this is good for you because it allows you to get yourselves together, allows you to pull together, rally up and push the enemy team back, and just get your grip, get your feet in, and just sort of get a feel for where you are, understand what's going on, and you get second chance after well, you get up to 4 chances. If unfortunately at that point you still didn't manage it, yeah, you lose. But obviously this is for one of those situations where if there is bits of problems, there's no communication, you know, you've got a troll on your team who's basically doing nothing, nobody wants to build anything. It is important as the defenders, especially on that tank push. There is one gun that can be focused right on the people who are going to be coming alongside through the one narrow gap the tank comes in. And then also further back, you've got one that can be used to, there's a broken wall where the enemy team can sort of get up and you'll just see their heads and they'll be able to pop over and pick people out. You can pick that guy off, keep both of your turret machine guns up, dump a couple of grenades down there. Don't smoke this, don't smoke it. The enemy team's probably going to smoke it, but nobody did. The attackers never smoked it. Again, this would be a good point to smoke because those mounted guns, if anybody builds them, are going to tear you to shreds. You need some knowledge of how the points play out, and you just need to know that there are tactical grenades for tactical reasons at this point. You know, it's not, as I say, all about your KD. It's not all about you. It is simply about having to play the objective. And if you've not got people doing it on either side, you are just going to get rolled. As for the defenders, yeah, if your team is getting rolled, you do have those 4 chances. For the attackers, unfortunately, if you've got crap teammates, you've just got a crap time. You've not got any sort of recovery there, you are unfortunately buggered. Yeah, sorry about that. There isn't really anything you can do. It sucks, it's frustrating, but yeah, you don't really get any second chances for the attackers, unfortunately. Yeah, that tank push. I would compare it to a bit like if you've seen something in Overwatch. So the tank comes up and you have to escort it. It's an escort mission. Stay near the tank, get behind it, crouch down. Just do little jog sprints. Run prone, run prone, run prone. Just things like that. A couple of guys behind the tank. As you get past the church, people will pop out at the side. Yeah, run prone, aim at the church. Other guy on the right, he's probably going to get picked by the machine gun. Also, you've got the nest that's going to be on the right-hand side. Again, smokes, and if you get to the broken wall, lob a grenade over. That'll take care of that nest. The other one does require a bit of knowledge of where it is, how far your grenade will travel, but just smoke him out. And then he's basically just shooting blind. Yeah, there are going to be people who know where to shoot and roughly what area. As soon as you start getting hit markers, you might as well just keep melting at that point. But yeah, it is tactical. It is an interesting, fun game mode. It's not entirely new, but it's not something we've seen for a while. It combines a few interesting things from different games, and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully there's more than one map, because the particular map that was in the beta, yeah, while fun, everybody started to get a feel for it, get a hang of it, and it just got old a bit quickly, really, because it was the only map for it. Now, we said we would talk about some technical issues. So, yeah, let's talk about some bad advice that's in the game. So, if you've played on console, you will know that there are a few things that you can do if you're struggling to find matches. It might say that your NAT type is moderate or strict. Strict being the worst because it really limits your ability. You won't be able to host up, so you'll always be reliant on another person or dedicated server if you've got the connection for the game to decide that you're worthy enough to be placed on one. 40 and 10, I know in other games. I'm also on, for the UK anyway, most places in the UK I can ping for about 15 milliseconds. Yeah, I always generally seem to get placed on peer-to-peer games. So whether or not there's not a large number of UK servers in some of the other COD games, or whether it's just however the server decides whether you're worthy or not. Obviously it decides I'm not, and well, to you. So the few things you would generally do to resolve these issues: one, you would basically on a console just run an Xbox Live test or a PlayStation test. Generally with the Xbox Live one, that will just basically turn your NAT from moderate to open. It's generally an issue if you've got UPnP enabled on your router, and for whatever reason COD just doesn't seem to do the right requests and the ports don't open for you, and your console doesn't get allocated the right ports. Doing a general connection test to Live will fix that. PlayStation users never really had much experience with that, but I guess similar things should happen. PC guys, well, you can't do a test, so if UPnP is enabled and it's not working for whatever reason, then the next option, as well as console, is to just go into your router and manually do some port forwarding. I'm going to throw up now on the screen, you'll probably have seen it while I'm speaking this, the various ports. For PC it just mentions one on the help screen, 3000 and something, but there is a bigger list listed here that you're seeing and have seen. So yeah, just do the appropriate ones for you, and hopefully that will then fix those issues. If you're on a moderate or strict NAT, you can manually tell it that you want those ports. Probably best to obviously give your console or PC a fixed IP on your network, on your router, on your LAN, and then you can assign those ports specifically to that one device, which UPnP is supposed to do on its own, but in this case just isn't for whatever reason, so you manually go in and do it. Yeah, it takes more time, bit of a faff, but once it's done, it should be done, everything should be working. Third option, and is the least liked option, something you really shouldn't do for any device on your network, but for consoles it's okay. There aren't reports of consoles getting hacked and consoles becoming part of botnets and getting taken over within minutes of them being connected to your network, like all of your light bulbs that are connected to your Wi-Fi are. There are instances of researchers plugging those in, and within 30 seconds it's part of the Mirai botnet. So Yay for those. You can enable something called a DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. Basically, your router will... Any packets that are destined for that device, just lets them through. So it lets through all the trash as well. All of the background radiation that is thrown at your router will reach the console. And all of the general other trash, like all the skids trying to kick you offline, are going to come knocking on your door, are going to hit your console. Your firewall's basically negated at that point, so yeah, you're easier to hit offline. And if there is any services, they will show on a port scan, but again, consoles not getting taken over on a daily basis as far as we know, aren't exploits rolling around there 0 days, not a problem. However, in the World War II beta, it specifically does mention that on PC, you can enable DMZ. Don't do this. Never do this. That is an absolutely retarded thing to do. Any security-minded person, anybody knowledgeable will tell you, do not do that on a PC. If you do an internal port scan on your PC, you will see loads of things come up. You'll see all the ports for Skype, the ports for Steam, the ports for this, the ports for that. Everything will show up. If you go, say, to your local pub, to your Starbucks, to college, work, wherever, and you then do a port scan of your own home IP address, you will probably see nothing, or they'll come back as closed or stealthed, no response. That is what you want. That means all the bullshit is not going to get to you. Ports, things like Skype, if there's any 0 days, because you can send malformed packets to it that are going to cause overflows that are then able to turn into remote code executions. Those things are now fully open to the web. So on your PC, you've got loads of things running, loads of ports open that you'll see if you scan internally, but from the outside will not be visible. There will just be one or two things. Port 80 for internet, maybe a remote management port for your router. Turn that off as well, by the way. But as soon as you enable DMZ to your PC, anybody scanning the web is going to see your Windows system from the outside, and then they're going to possibly follow up with a port scan. These things are automated all the time, 24 hours. I get hit with many multiples of these a day. You'll see it in your logs on your router, most likely. They're going to see that you've got all these things open. They suddenly go, oh, yeah, that service, that's a bit old. That's a bit redundant. Oh, there's a 0 day for that version. There's an exploit here, exploit there. And, yeah, before you know it, your PC's part of a botnet. So malware's crawled in. You're part of a botnet, as I say, but also crypto malware. Your PC could now be encrypted. You're now having to pay several $100s, several £100, whatever your currency is, extortionate rates to get your data back. Yeah, these are extreme situations, but just look at your router logs. People are sending bullshit your way every day. A lot of it is research, just trying to get an idea of researchers of all the devices out there. But just ask anybody. Google, should I put my PC into a DMZ? No, hell no, never do it. So, yeah, that is something that Activision and Sledgehammer and any other Call of Duty developer should not be advising their customers to do on PC. It's acceptable on a console if all the other options fail. Ideally, still stick something in between. If you've got a alternate, you know, a hardware firewall you can put in between, or just something that you can manually set some filtering rules are. I'm fluffing on the name at the minute. Give me a sec. pfSense. If you can put your own sort of pfSense little box in between, can be a Raspberry Pi, doesn't matter. Just put something in between yourself if you have to DMZ. That way you can basically just tell that all you want to come through is traffic on these specific ports. So now your router is throwing everything at it, that's going to filter it out. You hopefully will then not have the NAT issues because... but then you could do... but ideally, just never DMZ your PC. So that's all I can say for now. My name has been Mists. Thank you all for listening. This has been a long one, but there is some useful advice in there, especially the security advice. Just go ask anyone. You really don't want to do some of these things, and they are dangerous, and they are things that really should not be advised. They are telling you how to put yourself at serious risk of your system being compromised, being put to ransom, and just getting owned. So yeah, I hope to see that really removed. I have tweeted at them and at Activision support and said, yo, what the hell are you doing? If they decide to ignore me, there are a few people I can reach out to. A couple of people in the security field who hopefully will understand that this is a problem and will get the message out. I have tried reaching a few people who seem to say, well, yeah, what if it's in desperation? Doesn't matter. If it's in desperation, you'll be a lot more desperate once you do it. So, once again, my name has been Mists. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you in shorter videos in the future, and I'll see you all next time.